it's a track where you need to be able to have your cake and eat it, in terms of how you approach each corner. Growing up watching that race, watching the drivers, these icons drive through the tunnel, it was the most exciting race to watch. It was almost in such a faraway land. It was in a dream place, and I remember that becoming a dream. Like in my mind, it was like, oh, one day I'm gonna live here, and one day I'm gonna race around this track. And then to race there, my first time, was epic.
So when we see the Monaco race coming up, everyone's obviously quite excited. It is a blue ribbon event, and obviously one that people would love to win if they get the opportunity.
Having a Formula 1 Grand Prix win there in 2008, I felt like I was at the top of the highest mountain in the world. So many different things need to come together for that to happen, and it's a track where you just can't leave anything on the table. So Monaco is a circuit that's probably the highest in concentration, mental focus, because it is a street circuit. It's quite short, there's not very long straights. It's not a necessarily massively physical circuit because you're not doing really high speed through corners and pulling as big a Gs as you would in somewhere like Barcelona, but your mind is having to race at much faster. You have to process stuff so much faster.
In Monaco, with the car speed being so low, we need the maximum amount of downforce that we can put on the car. We will change things like the steering geometry for the very tight hairpin. It's one of the slowest corners on the F1 calendar. We'll also raise the car slightly in terms of ride height, soften the car off as well, because it's being a street circuit and can often be quite bumpy.
Usually after that race, you are mentally destroyed for a good couple of days, as where other tracks it's a combination of that and the physicality side of things.
We do lots of simulations on the computer, running through the various different parameters that we can change on the car to improve the setup, and then we take that and we put that into practice with the car, obviously then iterate that setup through the weekend to try and improve the qualifying pace of the car.
Mastering the lap in Monaco, of course, you've got to have a light and nimble car. You've got to have great downforce. You've got to have the right power to weight ratio. You've got to have track position, the right track position, clean air in front of you, commitment. You've got to be willing to touch the barriers.
We really need to set up a car for the drivers that's easy for them to drive, that's consistent, predictable. They need to approach the limits of the car, lap on lap. Any small mistakes and the car will end up in the barrier, and then they'll be losing track time, and track time is all important at Monaco.
It's a track where you need to be able to have your cake and eat it, in terms of how you approach each corner. In other circuits, sometimes you brake a little bit earlier going in and then work on making sure you get the exit. And in Monaco, it's pretty much you want to take everything on the way in and everything on the way out. And depending on what year it is with tires, you have to have the right balance of tire temperature, usage from the beginning of the lap to the end of the lap. If you use too much at the beginning, then you have less at the end once you get to Rascasse. So there's a million different things. And then otherwise, just you need to come not overworked, fully refreshed, and there's a lot of homework you need to do before. The approach to a race always changes when it's raining. It's much more of a lottery, but there's also a lot more opportunity. The potential for failure is even greater. That makes it even more nerve-wracking.
When you go to a street circuit such as Monaco, the switches on the steering wheel, you can't be asking the driver to keep changing them after each corner around the lap, making lots of changes. You might make a mistake and then lose several tenths on the lap. But it's really important that we go out on track with the settings all correct, minimise everything that we ask of the driver in terms of the switches and workload. And we have to weigh up whether it's worth the lap time to make that switch adjust, against the possibility that he might make a mistake on track and lose time.
The first corner of Monaco, if you hit the first corner right, it really sets you up for a good lap. If you lose out, then it's easy to try and overpush and overwork. But it's a corner that really sucks you in, and it tightens up real quick. So if you get that wrong, you can easily be in the wall. Our cars are bigger than ever before, wider than ever before. The track is the same width than it's been forever, and we're faster than ever through Monaco. So the percentage chance of overtaking is minuscule. The chances of crashing are massive, and so qualifying position is everything.
A qualifying round there is extremely important, and you cannot overtake in the race, so you really need to be as high up the grid as possible. Any small mistake that the driver makes with the walls being so close can really bite you, and that will affect you for the rest of the weekend.